Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download and a 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/spookshow. Over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player.
It's not a bad question, Bert.
Inside the junk hole.
Sometimes that is better.
You eat chicken on Thanksgiving?
It just tastes so damn good.
Wolfman's got nard.
The opening credits were kind of cool, though, right?
Here's Johnny.
With the wolfbane blooms.
Thou art the one.
Star Child!
You are not gonna die from a shit.
What the hell did we just watch?
The All-American Spookshow podcast.
Hello and welcome to yet another edition of the All-American Spookshow Horror Podcast. I'm Josh, and I'm joined here with Donnie.
Hey!
And Will.
Hey.
And Professor Smoak could not be with us this week. He's on assignment. Hiking in the woods somewhere in some undisclosed location. I
think he's trying to find the Blair Witch.
Yeah. So he couldn't make it this week, but hopefully he'll be back next week. But this week we're going to go back into the dark. One of the places we loved oh so damn well the first time around. Back in earlier this year. It was back in episode 54, Into the Dark Crawlers. The notoriously worst rated consensus score episode we've ever had. Especially after the re-rating, that drug it all the way down to the bottom. Cumulatively, all four of us gave it a 0.63 stars. There's nothing that comes even... Honestly, the only one that even comes remotely close is Jesse James Meets Frankenstein's Daughter. So it's pretty low company there. So we'll see today if this one holds up any better. This is our first venture back into the Into the Dark series on Hulu. So one only hopes it can only be better than that. So we'll find out. And, of course, since Professor's not here this week, we'll get his thoughts on it next week, hopefully. We'll see where it goes from there. So I guess before we dive into it, I'll go ahead and give out the usual information. You can email us, contact us at allamericanspookshow@gmail.com. Find us on Twitter at AASpookshow. We're over on Instagram, of course, Facebook. We're on the Slasher app, TikTok. You can find us on all those by searching for All American Spook Show. We have a TeePublic page where you can go get logoed merchandise and other cool designs and stuff we have over there. Once again, all of these things there's a Linktree link down in the show notes of this episode. You click on that, and all the links to these things should be right there, so you can access what you want. And of course, we want you to go over to our YouTube channel, where every Wednesday night we have Deadline Horror News live. If not, if you're not able to go on there, usually we go on about 9 p.m. East on Wednesday nights. If you're not there, able to be there live, those things are archived afterwards, so you can go up and pull up any of those episodes and other cool things. Like we put full episodes up on YouTube. That's all there. Also, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/AASpookshow. There, every Tuesday, we have new video minisodes where we do the Library of the Professor segment, where Smoak takes something from his vast library and we talk about it, or he discusses it. We talk about it. He gives ratings, if it's a movie or something like that. So that's always a fun time to be had. Those are every Tuesday over on Patreon. Of course, you also get, I think it's at least a $5 level, you get these podcast episodes early. We don't put a definitive, you're going to get it a certain time and date early, but you will get it before the masses get it. And, of course, the new episodes come out every Monday at 6 p.m. East. But if you want them earlier than everybody else, join patreon.com/AASpookshow. And right now, until the end of November, we have the November Patreon poll going on for a Christmas movie that we're going to be watching next month, which I believe that episode will be the one that's on December 20th, if I'm not mistaken. Let me pull the calendar up real quick, so I can see. Yeah, it's for the December 20th episode 87. And the three choices are Santa's Sleigh, that stars Bill Goldberg as a murderous Santa Claus. The Gingerbread Man, which has Gary Busey as, I guess, a murderous gingerbread man. And then Krampus, which came out in 2015, which I can't... it's more of like a comedy, too. So basically the theme is these are newer horror Christmas movies that have, huge elements of comedy to them. So if you want to vote on any one of those, either Santa's Sleigh, The Gingerbread Man, or Krampus, go join patreon.com/AA Spookshow to let your voice be heard and then hear us have a good laugh right before Christmas, because that'll literally be like the Christmas episode. Like, it comes out like the Monday before Christmas. So, but we'll have another Christmas episode on December 6th because, you know, we're able to kind of celebrate for the entire month of December for Christmas. So we'll have another older Christmas movie. We haven't quite decided which one we're going to be watching there yet, but we'll have that in a couple weeks. But next week, we will have Spookshow Spotlight Holiday Horror Part 1. We're going to do a 2-part Spookshow Spotlight special starting on November 29th. So that'll kind of kick off the Christmas season. And then the second part will be on episode 86 and on December 13th, where we'll basically just kind of talk about the top Christmas or holiday horror movies. You know, I guess you just don't want to be limiting yourself just to Christmas. There's tons of other holiday horror movies that we can talk about there. But, you know, we'll talk top box office, you know, worst box office, highest rated, lowest rated, all that kind of stuff on those 2 episodes. So come back and join us next week for that. And I guess that's enough build up for this week. We'll go ahead and toss to the trailer for Into the Dark Pilgrim.
So we're going to be having some folks join us for Thanksgiving?
We're going to send somebody out here. They're going to teach us how they did things in the olden days.
What do you say we break the wishbone?
1, 2, 3. I can hardly wait. Me too.
How do you do?
You're having pilgrims here? It's a full reenactment of the first Thanksgiving. This doesn't feel right.
You have a wonderful family. We are here to show you what you had. Are you grateful? Happy Thanksgiving!
Families are still important in America.
What are you afraid of? It's just Thanksgiving.
All right, so that's the trailer for Pilgrim. Into the Dark Pilgrim, I should say, from 2019. I'm going to go out on a limb here and assume this is the first time both you guys watched this, right?
Yep.
So, Donnie, I guess I'll toss to you first. What were your initial reactions upon sitting down and viewing this on Hulu?
Oh, man. I was laughing most of the time. And I don't think that was maybe their intention. But just couldn't help it.
I think maybe in some ways it was, but maybe in others it wasn't. You know, like, I do think they kind of keep one foot in the comedy door on this one, just in my opinion.
No.
You got to go. You either go full on dead serious with something like this, or you like kind of lean into the campiness of it. And I think they kind of leaned in a little bit. But
yeah, they definitely did that.
Will, what'd you think? Your initial reactions?
Overall, it's the best Pilgrim movie, or I'm sorry, the best Thanksgiving movie I think we've ever done. But that's not saying very much.
This is only the third.
Like
this is the third Thanksgiving movie, by the way, we've done over the years.
The first half of the movie to me was, you know, it wasn't very entertaining to sit through. But man, once it turned that page, man, it actually got pretty good. I was surprised by the second half.
You had to, you know, as I'm watching it, I kind of felt the same way you did. As I was sitting there watching it, and this was the first time for me as well, you kind of knew the nuts was coming eventually, right? You know what I mean? Like, you could see the crazy, but like, maybe this is a misunderstanding kind of thing, right? You could see them going that way if they wanted to. But, yeah, once they went full crazy, yeah, it was funny farm crazy. And still, there's going to be a lot of questions that we need to answer, or maybe we can, maybe we can't. Maybe they'll even wait for Professor to come back on next week and, you know, fill in some of the things that we can't figure out. But I think there were a few questions with this, the way this movie played out, that would be like, what exactly, how do you describe this? What exactly did we see? We'll get into that here in just a little bit, but I guess I'll go ahead and go into some of the background information. Like we said, this was Into the Dark series. I stopped short of saying it's like a television series, but I mean, it's only on Hulu. But it's more, to me, it's more like a movie series, because every one of these are, you know, well over an hour 15, hour and a half long, you know. So basically they're like feature-length films, each episode. But this one was part of season 2 of Into the Dark on Hulu. It was episode 2, to be exact, on season 2. And obviously, like I said, it's called Pilgrim, and it was released November 1st, 2019. Now, these are developed by Blumhouse Television. So Jason Blum is one of the. I'm looking
Producer.
at. Yeah, I was going to say he's an executive producer, but honestly, they don't even have him listed here as far as this particular episode. But I'm sure, obviously this is Blumhouse, so he's got his finger in the pie somewhere. He's factored in somehow or another. But because the producers on this one that I see listed here are Tevin Adelman is the producer. Then you've got Lauren Downey as the executive producer / showrunner, and same title for Alexander Cohn, and then Noor Haydar is the associate producer. So Jason Blum isn't listed there, but obviously he's got to be factored in.
I would like to point out he was all too willing to put his name into Crawlers, but once that came out, he's like, "Yeah, fuck it, I'm not doing this again."
Now wait a minute. Now to that, which one came first?
I'm pretty sure
Wait a
that
minute.
Crawlers came first.
No, I'm looking. Pilgrim did.
Oh,
Pilgrim
fuck.
came out. This was this second episode.
2019. You're right.
Yeah, this came out the second episode of season 2. Like I said, Crawlers was episode 6, season 2. So 4 episodes later, Crawlers comes out. I don't know. Maybe some he has. They give him a credit because he's more involved in it, and some they don't. I don't know what the reasoning is there, but I'll read you the little synopsis that they put on. This is on the Wikipedia page for this. So that her family may better appreciate each other and their privilege, a woman invites historical reenactors playing pilgrims to spend Thanksgiving with them. However, the reenactors may be too dedicated to their characters. Inspired by actual events. Now, we were talking off air, because, they do allude to that in the movie, because it actually says, towards the top, based on a mostly true story. Will, you said you saw something about it. Now, this was the story of this movie, we'll just call it a movie. The story of this Pilgrim is by Noah Feinberg. Now, apparently this is based on something that somewhat kind of happened to him when he was younger, right?
Yeah, so apparently his mom was the leader of the PTA, and they decided to have a bunch of Pilgrim reenactors come in and reenact the first Thanksgiving at the school. But I'm assuming they had to come in from, way out of town to be able to do this. So apparently it sounded like a lot of families signed up to, house a reenactor while they were in town. I guess the PTA family, the leader, got the method actor of the group, and apparently the dude comes in, doing his whole shtick. Then he gets up the next morning and still just never breaks characters. Apparently telling stories about the Mayflower and just all that stuff. So, it got old quick.
All right, see thyself out the fucking door. You annoying prick. Yeah, that's interesting. That would definitely be weird. Just the fact that you would even think to do something like that. I've never even heard of anything like that. I could get hiring some reenactors or something to kind of hey, here's, do a play or something, or some presentation to the school. Okay, I guess I can get along with that. Having
them in your house?
Yeah, having them in your house, and and obviously even the premise of this movie, not only did they have them in the house, but the whole point was they were going to come in and cook Thanksgiving dinner, and I don't know, it's just fucking weird, right?
Yeah. This, we live in the South, man.
This ain't going down.
No. Shit ain't going down, man. Shit, we're more than likely to go to a fucking Cracker Barrel or,
Go get your turkey from Popeyes or some shit, or KFC or something, Bojangles, yeah. But yeah, anyways, this was directed by Marcus Dunstan. He has, 19 writing credits on IMDb and only 7 directing credits. As director, he directed The Collector in 2009, The Collection in 2012, The Neighbor in 2016, this episode of Into the Dark, Pilgrim, and apparently he's in pre-production on a movie called Hooked Up, and they have announced the movie The Collected. Obviously, The Collector movies, that's kind of his thing, right? He was also a writer. I've only seen the first one. I think it was The Collector, right? Yeah, that was the first one. I saw that one years ago. I've never seen any of the other ones. He's got a pretty good writing resume here. Feast in 2005, Saw 4, that was the screenplay story for that in 2007. Feast 2, Sloppy Seconds, which was straight to video 2008. He wrote the screenplay for Saw 5, Feast 3.
Where would that last movie be released at? Because it sounds like a
Sloppy Seconds.
Feast 2, Sloppy Seconds. Well, it says video, so I don't know if it's in the room with the beaded curtain back in the back of the video store or some unknown streaming service. I don't know. But either way, they made another one, Feast 3, The Happy Finish. And that was another direct video the next year in 2009. Like I said, Saw 5, then earlier screenplay, The Collector in 2009, Saw 6, screenplay for that in 2009, Saw the Final Chapter, it was wrote by him in 2010, The Candidate, well, that's a short film. Then he wrote Piranha 3DD, The Collection, then a couple short films, and then the screenplay for The Neighbor in 2016. Let's see, Naked Fury. Well, that's a short called Naked Fury. He's got some weird titles in here. Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, screen story by, and that was in 2019. Then he did Pilgrim, and then he is writing The Collected, which that's only been announced. So, yeah, I mean, pretty successful track record as far as writing is concerned, and even a couple of films that he's directed there. So I'm assuming with knowing what you know about him now, and I can't even think of the guy that did Crawlers, but I remember that guy not having much of a resume, compared to this, especially.
Brandon Zuck.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, yeah. That I should remember that name has come back up a couple times since then, but I don't think his resume was nearly as well regarded as Marcus Dunstan's. Like we said, it was based on a story by Noah Feinberg, because this basically kind of somewhat happened to him, except take out the murdery part. Also by Marcus Dunstan, who directed, and Patrick Melton. Noah Feinberg, on this one, he was only like an assistant or something like that. He was, but obviously, or that's what he was before. Apparently, I guess he pitched this, and then they ended up making it. The only other thing is he's got 5 writing credits, including this one, 4 others. Everything else he did was like short films, in the years before Pilgrim. So hopefully bigger and better things for him. I mean, this is, not a bad start, for somebody getting their first kind of real good swing at something, right? And Patrick Melton, he would be known for writing on Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, as well as Marcus Dunstan and Saw the Final Chapter. He's got 18 writing credits on IMDb that go back to 2005, where he wrote an episode of Project Greenlight. But he was also a writer on Feast, Saw 4, Feast 2 and 3. So basically, I guess it looks like a very similar resume here. So he must be just a writing partner or whatever with Marcus Dunstan. Cast. We have Rain Edwards as Cody. She is the, I guess before we go any further, we should add that we are a spoiler-filled podcast. So if for whatever reason you haven't watched this episode of Into the Dark Pilgrim on Hulu, pause this, go over to Hulu, check it out, and come back, and that way we're not spoiling it for you. But Rain Edwards is actually like she's acted in plenty of things. I mean, she has 12 acting credits on IMDb, but she's actually a musician as well. She's a singer-songwriter. Let's see, she's best known for her roles as Nicole Avant, the younger sister of Maya Avant on the soap opera The Bold and the Beautiful. Leanna Martin on the 2016 series reboot MacGyver. Donnie, that's all you.
Straight up.
And she was Melody Wright on Snowfall. So, IMDb always lists a known for thing. It's got The Wilds, which was something on Amazon Prime Video. Snowfall, like I said, she was in Hellfest in 2018, which I think I've heard pretty good things about that one, being not too shabby. And I'm sure we'll get around to it eventually. But her acting credits date back to, she was in an uncredited role in Explicit Ills back in 2008. And a number of other things, like we said, The Bold and the Beautiful, MacGyver, The Wilds TV series, Snowfall. So mostly TV series stuff, and I guess that doesn't stray too far in this one. So still young, up and coming. Kerr Smith plays Shane. Now, this is Cody's dad in the film. Let's see, he would mostly be known for Final Destination, the original from 2000. Apparently, he was Jack McPhee in Dawson's Creek. My Bloody Valentine, the remake that came out in 2009. Life Unexpected, that was a series on the CW. He's got 45 acting credits. He's actually got 1 directing credit. He directed an episode of Dawson's Creek back in 2002, but 45 acting credits that date back to the soap opera As the World Turns in 1996 and 97. He was on that episode of Baywatch. Just kind of going through here, like I said, he was in the first Final Destination film. I think It's been a while since I watched Final Destination, but I'm kind of remembering the face now that I'm reading that. He was one of the. It says he played Carter Horton. I mean, but it's been so long since I watched that. God knows which one that was. He was in The Forsaken in 2001. Let's see, Cruel Intentions 3, Roadkill. That was a short. Handful of episodes of the show Charmed. Tons of television series. I guess more currently he's been on that CW show Riverdale. So I guess he's kind of turned into like one of those CW guys, right? Like those type of shows on CW. I think The Fosters was like one of those on Freeform or something like that. So mostly a TV guy, but plenty of things you would recognize him from. Courtney Hingler, I think is how you say it. Henggeler, Hingler.
Sure.
We'll go with it. Courtney Hingler. She played Anna. That was Cody's stepmom in the movie. Now she was definitely a recognizable face. She's been in a lot of things. I think recently, like television projects and stuff like that. She is in Cobra Kai. She plays, Danny LaRusso's wife in Cobra Kai. So that would probably be what people these days, would mostly recognize her from. But she's been in The Big Bang Theory, the CBS series Mom, a film called Nobody's Fool. She's got 39 acting credits that go back to 2003. Her first thing, or the first thing that she gets credit for that she was in, was a movie called The Bald Creatures. So that sounds like something we might need to get back around to here pretty soon.
It sounds like something Smoak knows all about.
Oh yeah, The Bald Creatures. Yeah, that was a good one. A bunch of TV series, a bunch of TV movies, over the last 2 decades. So that would be where you would probably recognize her from. The most recently would be Cobra Kai. And, of course, Ethan, the head pilgrim. He's played by Peter Giles. I think he does a pretty good job in this movie of, acting like a deranged pilgrim. I don't know what you would base that performance off of, but...
You got a blank slate here.
Yeah.
So.
As far as crazy pilgrims are concerned, he might be the best that's ever been put to film. He has 86 acting credits, though, so he's been at it for a while. And those date back to 1996. He was in a short film called Dear Diary. But his first movie, I guess, would be a TV film in 1998 called Rear Window. I'm not sure if that's like a remake of the old Hitchcock classic or not. But let's just a quick scan through. It's mostly like TV series, a couple soap operas once again, like One Life to Live, As the World Turns, stuff like that. CSI New York, Las Vegas, NCIS, all those abbreviated titles that are on CBS, like pretty much one episode of all those damn things. He was in the animated series The Life and Times of Tim. He was one of the voices in that. The show Portlandia, and some episodes of Modern Family. So a recognizable face as far as like TV, movies, and television series stuff is concerned. I guess one more that we'll point out here is the lady that plays Patience. She's the I guess Ethan's wife. The other main pilgrim in the movie. That was played by Elise Levesque. She is known for the film Ready or Not, the series Orphan Black, the series on CW, The Originals, a movie called The Big Ugly. She has 52 acting credits, which date back to 1997. She was in an episode of the series Incredible Story Studio. It looks like it's once again, it's all, a lot of TV stuff, TV movies, episodes of TV series. She was actually in an episode of Masters of Horror back in 2007, The Black Cat, one of Will's favorites, The Haunting of Sorority Row. Well, I'll take not denying it as a confirmation.
I'm not gonna confirm nor deny these accusations.
Slumber Party Slaughter in 2012, she was in that. So a lot of this type of stuff, TV series, TV movies, and then occasionally, playing in like an actual feature film and a short film called Fruitcake. So yeah, those are pretty much, I guess, like the biggest ones to mention. That's your main cast right there. So, did you guys have anything else you wanted to point out that I didn't point out here before we dive into it?
I didn't really find anything. There's just not much out there on this.
Yeah, well, I mean, when it's basically,
I was gonna say, the only thing that I could add is apparently the Puka doll shows up in Tate's room.
Ah.
Yeah, now that was the I guess that was kind of the breakout hit, so to speak, of this entire Into the Dark series, which, of course, we have not watched yet. Supposedly the really, really good ones. But there's actually been 2 of those. There was a Christmas episode, because, the whole, I failed to mention earlier, the whole premise of this Into the Dark series as well is like each film or show, however you want to look at it, each episode has something to do with a corresponding holiday. So that the first one was episode 3 of the first season called Puka. That was a Christmas one. And then in the second season, they had an Easter episode called Puka Lives, and that was the 7th episode. So this was right after Crawlers, was when Puka Lives came out in April of 2020. So yeah, I'm assuming that there's probably been a lot of Easter eggs with Puka ever since then, and probably a lot of these episodes, which I'm sure over time we'll get to some more, and we might, see that.
Mr. Projectionist, stop the show. Here's great news you ought to know. We've just got a shipment of taste-thrilled treats, all tip-top quality and delicious eats. There are hot dogs and popcorn and candy galore. There's soft drinks and coffee and a whole lot more. So direct your steps to our refreshment stand to enjoy the finest snacks in all the land.
For you, the listeners of the All-American Spook Show podcast, Audible is offering a free audiobook download with a free 30-day trial to give you the opportunity to check out their service. Like we've mentioned before, you sign up using audibletrial.com/spookshow. They'll give you a credit. You can take that credit and get any audiobook on Audible that you like. If you decide after that, I can't afford it, this isn't for me, whatever the reasons, you can cancel it and you get to keep that book. So helps us out. You get a free book out of it, win-win. So I just went in and typed in Pilgrim on Audible to see what will pop up. And the first one is Pilgrim, Book 1 by Harmon Cooper. And that one is a little over 16 hours long, and it says it's only from Audible. I Am Pilgrim, a thriller by Terry Hayes. That one's damn near 23 hours long, so that's a full-size novel there for sure. This one just looks kind of corny, but I'll mention it. The Pilgrim's Progress, From This World to That Which Is to Come by John Bunyan. It's a little over 12 hours long, and this is book 1, but like the cover of this just looks like, some drawing from 1452 or some shit, but it looks like the guy's like got his head leaning over like he's asleep for some reason. I don't know what the hell this is, but if any of that sounds interesting to you whatsoever, you can go over to Audible and type in Pilgrim and find all these things. But when you go over there, make sure you use the audibletrial.com/spookshow link. Again, that's audibletrial.com/spookshow for your free audiobook. So there we have it. So I guess we'll go ahead and get into the movie itself. So basically you start with a flashback of like Cody when she was, a younger girl sitting at the Thanksgiving table, and like her mom and dad, which the dad, you find out later, his name is Shane, they get into an argument on Thanksgiving, and the mom just says, "Fuck this," and leaves. So that's her, her horrible flashback, her horrible memory of Thanksgiving or whatever. And then now come to the present day, her dad is remarried to a lady named Anna. She's kind of like one of those, I guess because the dad, makes good money, she's kind of one of those housewives, kind of all about the homeowners association. And I guess she's like the president of the HOA and all this stuff. So she's kind of more worried about, she's wrapped up in society and all that stuff. So that's her thing. And he's kind of wrapped up in the stock market all the time and stuff, so that's his thing. So basically, I guess she kind of gets overshadowed, and she's got attitude issues because of all this, and she has a little brother named Tate. So that's kind of the setup to what's going on here. But Anna proposes that they're going to have an old-fashioned Thanksgiving celebration by bringing in some like Pilgrim reenactors to come I guess basically prepare the Thanksgiving meal, and then just kind of like tell the story of Thanksgiving, and so they can be appreciative for everything that they have, I guess is the whole premise of this, right? Mm-hmm. And the people are going to come. Now, I guess they didn't know at first, like, these pilgrims are going to come and spend the night, right? I guess they just kind of assumed they would come Thanksgiving morning or something and cook the meal.
She was surprised when they showed up at the door so early.
Yeah, so, like, there's this huge, that's kind of the setup, and then you see the opening credits. And then after that, you're introduced to Cody's boyfriend, Finn, at the homeowners association party. So her mom is throwing, or her stepmom is throwing this big HOA shindig, and everybody's there. And all of a sudden, 2 pilgrims, Ethan and Patience, show up at the party, and they're like, full regalia, like they're dressed like, pilgrims from, back in the Mayflower days or whatever. And they're like, oh, we didn't know you were going to be here this early. But, yeah, they're here. And, oh, yeah, by the way, her friend Catherine, yeah, they're going to come, one of them's going to come stay at your house, and the other one's going to stay at our house. Like, because I guess basically that was her surprise for Catherine was, I guess she was going to do this for her, too. So, like, there was going to be a pilgrim deal at her house and so on. So, basically, they split up. Ethan stays at their house, and Patience goes over and stays at Catherine's house. Now, the connection also there is Catherine, her son is Finn, which is Cody's boyfriend. This is also right in the middle of all this. You see the screen based on a mostly true story. It's kind of out of nowhere. Like, all right. So that's the setup. They're split up and they're going to stay at the two different houses. And the whole thing is like basically Cody gets creeped out from like moment one because these people will not break character. They're acting full on like pilgrims, talking like, the olden speak or whatever the hell, and they just won't knock it off, right? So she's not cool with it right there, and she's kind of suspicious of the whole thing. Ethan goes out back and just straight up like builds a shed out out near the pool. And the thing is about that too, like there's not much of a payoff on that, is there?
No, not really.
I mean,
really, the only two times that I can remember it being used is when a little boy went in there and he showed that he was worthy of thanks. I don't know.
Yeah, and like Ethan sitting there reading the Bible with him or something.
Yeah, there was. And then the other time was when all of the men were outside, and I guess Ethan was inside the little hut, and that's when he like walked out, and that whole branding and whipping scene happened, I think.
But I'm thinking like they're setting this up like, oh man, this is gonna be like a house of torture or something. Like this little shed, something fucked up's gonna happen up, but not really. Like it was just kind of there for some reason. Like I guess maybe it was just to show like they're moving in. You know what I mean? Like they're settling in and kind of making this shit their own. So like little bit by little bit, it kind of starts with the shed, and then eventually gets bigger and bigger as it goes along. But I guess maybe that's what the point of it was. But I just figured there'd be a bigger payoff with the shed, but there wasn't. So they're asked to give up their phones, just for the whole deal of, well, this is supposed to be an immersive experience or whatever, so you need to give up your phones, all your technology and shit. Finn, meanwhile, like Patience is staying at their house, right? Finn comes home and goes in. This is like after there's a scene where Patience makes some kind of tea, some herbal tea for Catherine, and basically knocks her out. I guess is kind of like what that leads to, because Finn comes in, finds his mom. I guess she's pretty much dead, right? So, like, I guess she poisoned her.
Yeah, poisoned her. Yeah.
Yeah. He finds Patience. Like, he hears like a thumping noise. He goes upstairs, and Patience is just sitting in the corner, like churning butter or some shit. And there's like, blood's coming off of her hands, and like, there's blood coming out of the churn or whatever. And then he goes into the next room, and that's where he sees his mom. Rolls her over. She's dead. And then somebody grabs a hold of him. Meanwhile, more pilgrims show up. Over at Cody's house, and now Cody's like, all right, what the fuck, like she's super suspicious now. And then she even confronts her parents, like, what the fuck is this, and they're like, oh, just play along, and then eventually, finally, Anna and Shane, the parents, they kind of come to their senses and realize, like, yeah, what the fuck is this, when they, like, they come out and say, where are the kids? The kids are fine. And then all of a sudden, like, 4 or 5 more pilgrims show up, and they kind of grab a hold of them. Cody finds Finn dead. She goes over to to his house or whatever, and she finds him dead. Like, I thought that was funny too. Like, it's like one of the worst like find a dead body scenes you'll ever see, because like she just opens up a closet or something, right? And and the dude falls out, and he's clearly not even like playing dead very well to me. Like, like it looks like you almost even see him blink and breathe as he's falling down, but like he just kind of falls over. So Finn is dead. She takes off.
Hold on. Now, as you're skimming through this, and anybody that's listening, you've hopefully seen the movie. These people die. God, it feels like pretty close to halfway through the movie.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you're about halfway through it now. Yeah.
And how long have we been doing the podcast so far, and actually going over the movie? That's how slow the first half is.
Yeah.
Legit.
And literally, like, that scene where Patience is sitting there in the corner, like, churning, whatever the hell she's doing. She's churning butter or whatever, and the blood's coming out. Like, yeah, you're easily 30 to 40 minutes into it. So that's, like, the first thing that really happens, as far as, like, something actually happening. Most of this, I'm just kind of blowing through. It's all set up to, like, you see that Ethan and Patience and then these other pilgrims that show up are just creepy. you know. But up to this point, you haven't seen anything until that. So Cody goes in, and Finn's dead body falls out of the closet, and so he's dead. Meanwhile, the Pilgrims, remember, they grabbed a hold of the parents, Anna and Shane, earlier. They have them, like, what do they call those things that, like the stocks, right, where you stick your hands in your head? What do they call that? I know there's a name for it. It's like a wooden thing where you stick your head in your hands. It's like a...
I think Stalks is the actual name of it.
I'm sure if Smoak were here, he'd be like, oh, yeah, that's medieval torture device number 42, you know, but you stick your hands in your head or whatever, and you're locked in. It's like a stock something. I can't recall the term of it, but they're locked up in that, and then they get branded. Like, because they're not grateful for what they have, so they're just gonna brand them for some reason, and fucking stick them in the back or whatever. Cody comes in and like easily frees them, right? Like, you would think there would at least be one of these pilgrims. Like, I guess all the pilgrims decide to go into the fucking house. The parents are still, like locked up in these chains or whatever out there, and Cody just walks up and like, I don't know how she got the key. Like, she just got the key and unlocks them and unties them and everything. Now they're free. And then this, they literally in the credits call him Big Pilgrim. He's just a big Amish-looking dude with a beard and everything.
If I remember right, the key was actually hanging on the other side of the stalk.
Okay, so
it was just hanging there, and then she picked it up.
I guess I just missed that little moment where she grabbed the key. But yeah, like, she easily frees them. Nobody comes up until like they're free, and then this dude shows up. And then they basically just, as a family, just beat the shit out of this guy and then kill him. Which is very, very satisfying, right? Like, this is the kind of thing that you would think would actually happen in this scenario. Like, oh, I get out, I'm just going to beat someone to death. Like, for 10 minutes straight, just pulverize their fucking skull, in this scenario.
And I'll also say, like, up until like this point, like, everybody with the exception of... oh God, what's her name? The lead character? Cody. Everybody with the exception of Cody are very, like, shallow characters. Yeah. Disconnected dad over...
Wrapped up in her own world, stepmom.
Yeah. The kid is just a kid actor, so they're not putting a lot on his plate. Mm-hmm. But, like, everybody's just a very, like, flat character. At least on the family side. This is like the first time they actually showed any fight in
any soul.
Yeah.
So they beat the shit out of the Big Pilgrim there and kill him, and then they split up for some reason. I guess to find Tate. That's the name of her brother or whatever, the young kid. I guess to find Tate, they kind of split up. So the parents are climbing up the side of the house to get upstairs, and Cody goes over here and then is immediately like captured by the Pilgrims. Then Shane, like, once they get up to the second floor or whatever, basically he's pushed out of the window, right? Like, don't they stab him or hit him or something, and then he falls.
Yeah, he goes to climb in, and then I think it's Patience, like, stabs him in the hand.
Yeah, so one of them does something
and
to him
says
and he falls.
Something along the lines of you lose what you don't cherish.
Yeah. So he falls from the second story, and meanwhile, as he's, like, shook from falling like that, right, he's probably got a concussion or some shit. Patience just walks up with an axe and then just brains him. But you don't see it happen. You just see her, like, standing over him and then whack, and then the screen goes red.
Yeah.
So now they have Cody and Anna, the stepmom, and they're torturing them basically. Be grateful for what you have. And then they put Cody on this little platform that they've built, like, over the pool. And then they just dunk her into this damn pool like 18 times. Like, this is a really long scene that, like, really doesn't lead to anything, honestly. They just, like, crank this thing over. It's like this big wooden platform thing that, like, is over the water. Like, be grateful. Fuck off. And then they dunk her, hold her under the water, pull her back up. Are you grateful? No. Dunk her again. Like, this happens like 6 times. They damn near drown her. Finally, I guess, I'm grateful, Okay, so they stop that. And they take Cody and Anna and make them prepare the meal, the Thanksgiving meal. So they're sitting at the table and they're, getting food ready for the Thanksgiving meal. Cody, now this is one of those, like, this is where to me, the movie starts to go batshit crazy and off the rails.
Yeah.
Cody, I guess it's like a screwdriver or a...
I thought it was like an ice pick or something.
Maybe it's an ice pick.
Like an ice pick.
Yeah, okay, we'll go with ice pick. She picks it up and she stabs Patience in the head, but Patience gets her hand up just enough to where, like, It's stabbed through the hand and into her head. Now, she should be dead, right?
Yes.
Legit.
And
It stabs her right in the fucking temple.
I was going to bring up. From this point on, all right, the fact that she didn't die with this, like, I was almost like, all right, are these people supernatural?
Yeah.
That's everything before and after that spot right there tells me that they're not. Just this one scene where this lady gets stabbed in the brain.
Yeah, I mean, she catches her right in the fucking temple, like back of the eye, man. Like, that would kill you, I'm pretty sure. If it didn't, you'd be like, you'd be like a fucking instant vegetable if it didn't kill you, right? You know, sometimes there's those weird stories of like some dude that had like a railroad tie that shot through his skull and then he just acted weird the rest of his life, but he lived. It can happen, but odds are she's dead. I mean, it stabbed her right in the fucking head. But
Phineas Gage.
Well, yeah, that's the guy. But anyway, we'll come back to that part because I think there's a little mini discussion that needs to be had about that. So Patience is still alive, so Cody runs, and she finds Tate, and then basically just hides him again. She's like, all right, well, here, shit. She looks around like, can't get out. All right, fuck, I'm going to hide you again. So she hides him in the closet. Like, not even a good hiding spot. It's just like in the closet. Pilgrims, like, so she hides him, goes back out in the hallway, and then the Pilgrims instantly grab her again. So she's the worst at getting away from these Pilgrims, right? Like, they've been captured her like 3 separate times now.
So at that point, like, what was the point of that whole scene of her escaping in the first place? She escaped to go get the kid.
Hiding.
Because he was hiding.
And then
hid him somewhere else.
And then basically gave herself up to get captured again. Basically. Yeah. So they have Cody and Anna again, and they make them sit down at the table. It's time for the feast. Once again, batshit craziness. They bring out the turkey, you know, on the platter or whatever, take it off, and it's Shane's decapitated head. So now they're sitting down for the feast of Shane meat, and this is fucking awesome, by the way, like of just pure craziness in my opinion, because like now they're all like gorging on the meat and this, you know how it always is in these type of movies, and Smoak could probably talk more to this too because he's seen more of these type of movies. But when it's always like cannibalism, they don't eat like normal people anymore. They just get like fucking crazy, you know, like. They just start eating with their hands and smearing it all over their face and shit. Like, for whatever reason, I guess. Well, if you've gone crazy enough to eat someone, you just don't fucking care how you eat it. You just act like a maniac when you're doing it. But I love the fact that they've got this gospel music or this gospel type music playing in the background as this is going on, because it's like, oh, be grateful, oh yeah, be grateful, as they're like tearing the man's meat apart, you know, the body apart or whatever, and like his head sitting on a silver platter and everything. It was just fucking awesome. So then basically as they're gorging on this, a couple of them start getting sick, and then all the rest of the Pilgrims like start puking up blood and shit.
But not just normal puking.
Oh no, that's one of the best parts too, because like I guess Ethan realizes like, holy shit, we've been poisoned. So I don't know why I went like fucking full Irish accent.
No. It was perfect.
That was Irish?
We'll go with it. He sticks his fingers down his throat and like starts throwing up, you know, the berries and shit that he ate. And it's like Saturday Night Live projectile vomiting, like, shooting
and that was
out.
Like, to me, it gave me vibes of the Stand By Me pie eating contest. It was Stand By Me, right?
I can see it. I didn't think about that, but I can definitely, I get it. But so apparently, like the what happened here was when they made Cody and Anna sit there and like prepare the meal, Cody reaches over and takes some of the poison berries that I didn't mention earlier. They went out. Ethan and Tate went out and picked berries, like and other shit for the feast or whatever, right? So for some reason he picks poison berries and then mixes it in with the other berries, and then like one of them goes to, and I think like Tate goes to grab and eat it. It's like, no, those are poison. Look at the stem or whatever the fuck, right? Like, number one, like, why did you pick poison berries and put them in with the rest if you didn't want anybody to eat the fucking poison berries?
No reason. This is going to come up later. Just move on.
Yeah. Don't worry about me foreshadowing, thy asshole. So, anyways, that's the setup, right? There's poison berries in there. So, as Cody and Anna are being forced to put the meal together, Cody reaches over, grabs some of the poison berries, and like puts it in the cranberry sauce. So apparently this is cranberry sauce, and it's deadly. So they start like literally like blood coming out of their eyes. They're vomiting blood and shit. And in the middle of this, Tate comes out from hiding, and he frees Cody and Anna. Anna has like a little fight with Patience, and she manages to kill Patience with a knife on the table. And I love during the fight, she picks up her husband Shane's head and uses it as a weapon.
Yeah.
Like, that's part of the fight. Like, they're beating the shit out of each other. She just grabs his head and it's just like, pow, pow. And she takes a knife and, like, stabs her through at the table there. So Patience is dead. Then Cody, meanwhile, like, all the other pilgrims, right, they just fall out dead from the poison berries. I should mention that. Like, they didn't have to fight any of them. They just all fucking one by one fall out dead from the poison. But Ethan and Patience managed to, like, kind of yak some of it up so they last a little longer than the rest, right? So Patience is now dead, and then Cody has the big moment with Ethan where she's fighting with him and going back and forth like, why'd you do this? I wanted you to be grateful for what you had or whatever. So then she just takes an axe and just fucking brains him. He's dead. And then as his hand falls over, there was a wishbone in his hand. Now you get the end credits. Now the wishbone thing I didn't bring up earlier. There was just this minor little scene toward the beginning of it where they're eating their chicken or turkey or whatever the hell they're eating, and there's a wishbone. They pull it out, and Cody and Tate make a wish on the wishbone, right? They pull it, and Cody got the end where your wish is granted. That her wish that she asked for was basically, what was it, for you to get what you had coming?
This whole thing to blow up in her face.
Yeah, that's what it was. For this whole thing to blow up in Anna's face. Right there at the end when Ethan falls over dead in his hand, there's that wishbone. I think that goes back to me, and that, like I said, that's end credits. And I know it's a joke now, but I will say the opening and ending credits of this were actually pretty well done. Like, I know it's a running joke at this point, but I thought they were actually kind of cool credits. But anyways, so I guess that brings me to this. Like, so you got this thing with the wishbone, and then you got the whole thing of Patience getting stabbed in the head or whatever. Is there a supernatural element here? Because, it almost brings to mind, like, how would he have known about the wishbone? Or why would he have it in his hand, if there wasn't some supernatural aspect to this? Mm. And the fact, like I said, Patience gets stabbed in the head and doesn't fucking instantly die like a normal human being would.
I agree, but why did everybody else die from poisoning?
True. And, I mean, I don't know. Maybe they're just disciples of the Pilgrim Church or whatever the hell. Like, they're real, but Ethan and Patience aren't anymore. I don't know. Like, it's...
You have to wait for the Pilgrim prequel.
Yeah. No, that's not going to happen.
One of these things is not like the other. Oh, wait, it is.
I don't know. I think it's interesting, that whole premise of it. Like, I do think I wish they'd leaned into it. If you were going to do that, like lean into it a little bit more, I think that would have added a different, cool kind of little element to it. If they'd have leaned into the supernatural here, because that would kind of explain a few things a little more. But like you said, there's other things to point out that it may not be supernatural. So I don't know. I guess maybe that's the, that's the thing that's the takeaway is like, was it not? I don't know, but you had fun. So I guess that's all that matters. So there we have it. The latest Into the Dark episode that we watched, Pilgrim from 2019. So Donnie, I guess I'll throw to you first. What's your star rating for this?
Star rating, man, pitfalls here and there. It's kind of predictable, really campy. We've, on the positive side though, it was kind of interesting once they got to it. But all in all, I don't think it's more than 2 stars for me.
Well, Will, that's you. What do you say?
I think I'm going to go 2.5 on this one. I agree with Donnie. And then, like I said before, the first half of this movie is god-awful slow. Man, for me, like, once it picked up and then, like, stuff started happening, oh, God, man, I was in. If this movie could have been about, 35 minutes, oh, man, I might would have loved this movie.
35 minutes.
Well, I'm just saying, like, I understand, character building, but there was only one character that got built really at all.
Yeah.
Maybe, if you want to throw in Ethan, a little bit of Ethan there. Yeah, I mean, if you're only going to build 2 characters, I felt like this could have been much shorter. But overall, I enjoyed it.
I mean, I guess for something that, like, we didn't go over some of the normal stats or whatever. I failed to mention that the total runtime of this was 1 hour and 20. So I think for something of that length, they did have a fair amount of character development, if not a little too much. But like you said, the only one they really built up for you to really care about would be Cody and obviously Tate because he's a kid. The rest, you don't really give a shit about the mom or the dad. And, of course, everyone else, all the other main players are the Pilgrims. And then, you got the neighbor lady and her son Finn. You don't really care about them, other than the fact that that's Cody's boyfriend or whatever, right? So yeah, I mean, basically you only really care about Cody and Tate. So I guess in the end, that's all you really wanted to see survive. But I think they set up enough stakes to where you wanted to see somebody make it. You know, like in Crawlers, you didn't give a shit whether any of these people made it, right? Like, kill them all, kill them all. I don't care. But at least
kill the director.
Yeah. Go ahead and just finish the
I want
job.
to see this shit again.
But yeah, I think saying all that, I'll go 2.5, just like Will. I think there was enough here to, in that last 20 or 30 minutes, to really salvage the movie. I think if it had kept going on the trajectory it was on, it wasn't as bad as Crawlers at any point.
Definitely not.
But it wasn't looking up. It wasn't looking very cheery and bright until you get to the pure insanity of the last 20 or 30 minutes. So that sold it for me. Like you said, at that point I was all in. Like, hell yeah, let's get fucking nuts, right? And you know, it did. So all right, so with the star ratings out of the way, Donnie, I guess I'll toss to you first.
Connections from the crypt.
Well,
yeah,
it just seems like it gets longer every week. Jesus.
Yeah, I know. It's you know, I always like to let it finish out. It just adds a little something to it. But you know, we mentioned Crawlers. You know, I think it was like 18, 19 episodes ago. The connections for Pilgrim to Crawlers is well, actually, that's really the only connection to our past episodes is just Crawlers. We've got 2 producers and a special effects artist. The 2 producers are Lauren Downey and Alexander Kane. The special effects artist is Simon White. There's basically they don't really have a whole lot other than.
And that makes sense. And that makes sense because I think they were listed as showrunners. So I guess that's kind of the way they play this. Is like it is set up a lot like a television series, but it's different in the sense that, like I said, each one is like a feature-length film. So
yep.
I guess that would
That's
be the showrunner
at.
will be the connection. Yeah, that makes sense.
That's all we got.
All right, so Will, you're up next.
Kill. Count.
With this one, I came up with 16. So from the beginning, we got Catherine, who got poisoned, Finn, who had his throat slit, the big Pilgrim, who got beaten to death, Shane, who got his head lopped off. Then we have 8 Pilgrims who died from poison. And then Patience gets stabbed and beaten. And then Ethan gets gets hacked with the axe. The 2 that I guess were questionable, but I just went ahead and, well, one of them's not, but the big Pilgrim, you don't know that he's dead, but you assume that he is.
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
And then the Pro, halfway through the movie, Ethan steps on its head.
The what? Halfway through the movie?
Yeah, what?
Remember the little boy found a bird?
Pro.
It?
Oh,
yes.
Okay. I thought you said pro. I'm like, pro?
I thought you said pro. I'm like,
the
prostitute in this?
Okay, I got you.
All right.
That makes more sense. Yeah, well, you know, I always stop short of wanting to count animals and shit into these things, but yeah, I guess if you want to jack the count up a little bit, why not?
Well, that one was pretty, I don't know, in your face, like, all right, you step away. Crunch.
Yeah. I think those things definitely do add to the, I think more, they're worth mentioning because I guess if nothing else, it does add to the gore score, because that is pretty fucking vile, to watch something like that happen on film. But to that, we don't have the gore score, obviously, because Professor's not here. But what would you think? We'll take a stab at guessing what the number you think will be when he does it next week. Donnie, I guess I'll let you take a spin first.
Man, I'm gonna say knowing Smoak, I think he might go as high as a 5. I don't think it's that. I don't think it's that much for me. But I would say a 4. But I think he would say a 5.
Will, what do you think?
See, I'm going to push for about a 6. I think with all the puking blood and just shooting it everywhere, the stabbing, I'm going to guess about a 6.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with that. Like, you got the bloodiness of the Stand By Me scene there with the yakking up blood and shit. You got the crow getting stomped out. The churning butter or whatever the hell she was doing with the blood, and I think there's enough gore there to justify a 6. It wouldn't shock me if you said 7, but I'd say definitely.
I would be shocked if he said 7. I'm like, really? Come on, dude.
Well, you never know, because sometimes his gore scores can be a little bit different than what you would think, but sometimes those are when he does like an older one where it's based on Chaz Balin's original scores. So sometimes
I would need justification for a 7. I need that. I require that.
I don't know, the puking blood that might do it. Who knows? I don't know, but I'd say we can safely say a 5. But I'm gonna go with you and say 6, and we'll see what Smoak says when he finally gets to do it officially. But anyways,
4.5.
Yeah, I'm going to go 2. What? I didn't believe the blood. So, anyways, next week when we return, we're full on past Thanksgiving by that point. So now we're going to be diving into the Christmas holiday season. So not just Christmas, but just the holidays in general. We'll be talking about holiday horror, Spook Show Spotlight Holiday Horror Part 1. That will be coming out next Monday at 6 p.m. East on November 29th. So that'll kind of get the December holiday season kicked off for us with that, and that'll be kind of a 2-part series. That will be episode 84 and 86 on November 29th and December 13th. And then on December 6th, episode 85, we'll be doing like an older Christmas, Christmas horror movie. I should always add, we're talking about horror movies here, so we're not just going to be watching It's a Wonderful Life. Like,
let's watch Prancer.
Yeah. Oh no, it's the scariest movie of all. Santa Claus the movie.
Plot twist, and you would probably never guess this. I have never seen It's a Wonderful Life. I've never fucking seen it.
What?
Fucking serious. Well, I've never watched that movie.
Honestly, with you, that doesn't necessarily shock me, but that needs to be seen at least once in your life, dude. It really is a good one. Like, and honestly, to be honest with you, and that's a debate for maybe one of these days, what you kind of consider Christmas or not. Like, technically, I know it's always played at Christmas time, but it's not really a Christmas movie. It's kind of fucking sour and dour, to be honest with you, in a lot of ways until you get towards the end. But it just so happens that it's one of those. That's the debate. Did the movie happen because it's Christmas, or did it happen to be at Christmas time? Right, like Die Hard or Lethal Weapon. The difference between those two, right? That's always part of the argument. So maybe that's the debate we can have one of these days, because I think that's always the constant debate is, well, Gremlins is a Christmas movie because blah, 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 and this and that. But maybe that can be something we talk about just briefly on those Spook Show Spotlights.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. But anyways, that'll start next week. So come back for that, and then we'll let you know next week what older Christmas horror movie we're going to be watching for episode 85. So, and then, like I said, we'll get Smoak's thoughts on Pilgrim either next week or the week after. Just depends on his availability. So for Professor Smoak, who couldn't be with us, and for Donnie and for Will, I'm Josh. We are the All-American Spook Show Horror Podcast, and we will talk to you next week.